Hey, welcome back to the show. Dr. Zach is back talking about a very important and a very controversial, when you talk about ethics when it comes to resuscitating somebody, it's something a lot of us really don't realize, especially if you watch a lot of TV shows where you see it happen. Dr. Zach, this is important because we do see that, right? We see this almost constantly on television where the resuscitation happens and the person, is 100% recovered. How close is that to reality exactly?
Not really close.
Okay.
So I started thinking about it because we're giving a course right now. Doctors have to learn how to resuscitate people. So right now at the McGill Simulation Center, we're giving a course to young doctors about how to resuscitate people. And I thought about this, and a whole bunch of studies have been done about it, actually. And on TV, the numbers are about 70% of people survive the resuscitation. That's when their heart is stopped and it's restarted. And about 50% of them, so not all, but a good chunk of them end up leaving the hospital healthy. And unfortunately, the numbers in reality are actually much lower than that. They're more like 35% or so who actually survive the initial resuscitation. And about 10, 11%, maximum 15 or 20% actually get out of hospital alive. So it's something, and it's something that most people don't talk to their doctors about. Yeah.
Well, let's talk. That, of course, is important. So who should you talk to about this exactly?
Yeah, if you have, whoever your doctor is. I mean, if you have a cardiologist, great, but the doctor who knows you best, someone who can explain things, because having advanced directives, a living will, having a substitute decision maker, they're all a little bit different. But basically what you're trying to do is set out, number one, what you would want in case of incapacity. If you can't make decisions for yourself, then you want your wishes known. And number two, you want to find someone, nominate someone who's going to be your decision maker in case you can't speak.
Right.
And what it made me think of was a case that was published back in November.
This is a really interesting case.
It's a crazy case. And
it's
a real
couldn't
case.
believe it when you told me.
Yeah. And I've had doctor friends joke about doing this actually, because the problem is when you come to the emergency department, we usually don't have access to that unless you happen to have your substitute decision maker with you or your power of attorney with you. We don't know your wishes. If you're totally comatose. The fallback for emergency doctors is resuscitate everyone, right? That's what we're trained to do.
Okay.
And if we don't do it, then we're liable for not potentially saving your life.
But you can be liable on both sides.
Yeah,
so let's talk about this example. So this guy comes in with a tattoo.
Exactly. So he comes in. He's still out of pulse, but he was very, very sick. They start to undress him. They start to resuscitate him. They open up his shirt, and they see a big "Do Not Resuscitate" tattoo across his chest.
Yeah. I don't.
So this is a guy.
Was he sick often? Obviously, he make a conscious effort.
Yeah. In retrospect, they found out he was quite a sick guy, and in retrospect, they did find that he had an official DNR order, but he was worried that he was going to go to the hospital and he was going to have this. No one's going to know about it. And at the time, he didn't have that tattoo, and so he went to this extreme measure. But the problem is for doctors is tattoos are permanent, right? He could have got that 20 years ago. He could have got it. I mean, facetiously, I guess, he could have got it while he was drunk, but he could have changed his mind. At any time, with an advanced directive, you can change your mind. And people do all the time. Like, let's say your health improves somewhat. Let's say you have new children or grandchildren that you want to live for. So, and this is not a legal document, obviously, right?
Right. So what, in this case, what did they do?
Well, initially, it took a while. Initially, they resuscitated him because they're scared of not resuscitating him and then being held liable. But the other part of it, especially this is an American case, they're worried about resuscitating him. Let's say it has a terrible outcome. He's terrible neurological outcome.
Right.
And then his family says, this guy's going to be alive for 20 years on tubes and whatever, on machines, and he didn't want to be resuscitated. How dare you? So that's a worry. So initially they resuscitated him.
Okay.
Things got worse and worse and worse, and then they actually called in. Luckily, it happened during the week, during 9 to 5 or whenever, and they had a clinical ethicist come in. So the doctor himself didn't have to make the decision. Ultimately, it was decided to respect his wishes.
Okay.
But he just wasn't able. He didn't have an ID. He didn't have his power of attorney. He didn't have anything on him. So they had to make a call. And so they decided this was a pretty clear indication of what his wishes were.
Right.
So they actually ended up letting him go.
Let's talk about the consequences then for a doctor on both sides of it. Could they be sued either way?
They could. I mean, luckily in Canada, from a doctor's perspective, it's less of a litigious society. I actually think, by the way, it's better from a patient's perspective, too, because we do things less with that sort of cover your ass mentality. We don't scan. Not everyone who comes to the emerge with sort of an injury gets scanned from head to toe, so we spare people that because we do what we think is actually the right thing to do, less with the back of our mind. Doctors, I have to be honest with you, we're always scared of missing things. Like, we cannot miss something. We're not allowed to miss anything. And that's on our minds. Having said that, it's not we're scared of being sued for missing something. We're scared because we
Someone's
can't miss
life is
anything.
in your hands, right?
So yes, absolutely, you can be held liable if you miss anything. So that's a concern.
Dr. Zach, as usual, so much more information I know we can
yeah.
talk about. We'll put it on our website as we always do, bdmontreal.ca. Check out our blog site. And Dr. Zach, we can't thank you enough. You're always great having you on the show.
Great being here.
Thanks
Thank
so
you
much for joining us. Hey, don't go away. Lots more coming up here. And as you see right there, you can watch the interview. If you missed a portion of it, visit btmontreal.ca as well.